Dear listener friends, how are you? Let me begin today's story. First, I must say that because my family has been victims of black magic, we have a strong interest in paranormal matters. One afternoon, my friends and I set out to hang out at the tea shop of an uncle we know. During the gathering, our conversation turned to various ghost stories. Suddenly, we realized that the tea shop uncle has lived in this area for a long time. We thought that by asking him, I might be able to collect some paranormal incidents from this area. Besides, our area is quite strange and scary, surrounded by bamboo groves. As I thought these things, I asked the uncle if he knew any ghostly incidents in this area, or any that had happened to him personally. The uncle said, to his knowledge, there were no such events, and the ones he had heard were not so frightening. However, he said he had the phone number of a person who treats people possessed by jinn. If you go 3 kilometers down this road, there is a mosque where this person is the imam, known to everyone as Jinn Huser. If you want, I can give you his number, and you can gather many stories from him. With that, the uncle wrote down the Huser's number for me. That day, I took my leave from the uncle and left, secretly planning to visit the Huser the next day to collect some stories. But that night, our college exam schedule was announced, and my exams would start the next day, so I could not go. I thought to visit him after my exams. However, I did not know then that the need for that Huser would soon become very urgent for me and my family. To understand why I am telling these things, listen carefully to the whole story. Now, let me come to the main incident. It started in August 2022. I do not remember the exact day, but like any other day, after having dinner, I was lying in bed reading a book. Suddenly, I heard the terrifying cries of my pet bird from the balcony. I should mention that since childhood, I have loved keeping birds and had many different species. I had about 10 pairs of birds, and before sleeping at night, I would cover their cages well with cloth to keep them warm. Hearing their screams, I rushed to the balcony and saw the birds struggling inside their cages, screaming terribly. Then I noticed something strange. Before going to my room, I had covered the cages properly, but now the cloth in front of each cage had been pulled aside. Why was the cloth on the front of each cage moved aside when I had covered them well? While pondering this, I calmed the birds, covered their cages again, and was about to go to my room when my eyes caught my pet cat, Minnie, running frantically from one end of the courtyard to the other, with a fearful expression that I had never seen before. Why was Minnie suddenly behaving like this? This question arose in my mind. Finding no answer, I tried to console myself and went back to reading my book. But after a while, the bird started screaming strangely again. I hurried outside, and once more I saw the same scene. The cloth on the front of each bird cage was pulled aside. Seeing all this, I had no doubt left that this was not a normal event. Something supernatural had signaled through my pets, which was why they acted that way. I calmed the birds again, properly covered their cages, and returned to my room. After a while, the birds started screaming oddly again. I immediately went to the balcony and saw the same scene. Then, reciting all the prayers I knew, I blew around the balcony, covered the bird cages well, and went back to my room. After that, there was no more trouble. That night, I could not sleep at all. One question after another arose in my mind, yet I found no answers. Since that night, I could not sleep alone in my room because I felt someone else's presence there. After that night, I also noticed strange changes in Minnie, my pet cat. Minnie used to sleep in my room at night, but from that night on, Minnie would sit all night on the balcony and could not be brought into the room in any way. When I told my parents about these events, they became quite worried, but my mother did not care about such things. She never believed in the supernatural. None of us knew then that her attitude would lead us into great danger. Why I say this, you will understand soon. Since then, my father began sleeping in my room with me at night, and my mother slept in the next room with my younger brother. After that, no abnormal incidents occurred for a long time. I almost forgot about these events since nothing strange happened to me or my family. I thought these things were normal, but I had no idea that this belief was completely wrong and that these abnormalities indicated a big danger. We have a swing in our yard where my mother often sat, and and spend time whenever free. As everyone knows, there have been frequent electricity problems in the country recently. So, when the electricity went out at night, my mother would still sit on the swing. Sometimes I would join her. One night, around 2 o'clock, the power went out again. For some reason, I could not sleep at all. Suddenly, I heard the swing creaking. I thought my mother must be sitting on the swing. On top of not being able to sleep, the power outage made the house unbearably hot. Thinking all this, I went out of my room. Stepping out, I saw darkness all around, with moonlight showing someone swinging on the swing. Calling Mother, I started walking step by step towards our small gate, but there was no response. When I reached the gate, I saw a lock on it under the dim moonlight. At that moment, my whole body froze with fear. The gate was locked, so no one could have gone out. Then who was sitting on the swing in the yard? While thinking this, I gathered courage and shone my phone's flashlight toward the swing, only to see someone who looked exactly like me sitting there. Upon seeing me, he smiled strangely, climbed the nearby mango tree, and disappeared into the darkness. Seeing this, I ran back to my room and locked the door. After witnessing all this, I realized that something very bad was about to happen to me. These are not normal events. So, was black magic done on me or my family again? Seeing those scenes, many questions arose in my mind, but I could not find any answers to my questions. That night, I could not sleep. The next morning, as soon as I got up, I told my aunt about all the events of the previous night and some incidents from a few days earlier. You may wonder why I told my aunt this. It should be noted that my maternal grandfather's house is in India. At the beginning, I mentioned that my family and I were victims of black magic, and the treatment for that black magic was done in India. Through a Huser known to my aunt, I told her about these events that happened to me, so she could go to the Huser and seek a solution. After telling my aunt, she assured me that she would visit the Huser that afternoon. That evening, my aunt called me and said she had been to him and that he asked her to come again after 3 days. That day, he would explain what the problem was and the solution. But none of us knew how difficult those 3 days would be for me. That night, feeling unwell, I quickly ate dinner and went to bed. Around 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, my sleep was broken by the sound of nails being hammered into the wall. Upon waking, I saw my father lying beside me. Suddenly, the hammering stopped. Thinking it was normal, I lay down again. At that moment, my eyes fell on the bedroom door. In the dim light of the dimmer, I saw a 9 to 10 foot tall humanoid figure standing in front of the door. Its chest to feet were visible, but its head was not. The head had passed through the roof and gone upward. Before I could react, the figure stretched out both arms toward me. Immediately my eyes closed, and I felt something very heavy on my chest. I struggled to keep my eyes open, but could not. I felt suffocated and thought this night might be my last. I started reciting the surahs I knew, and suddenly my whole body became very light. When I opened my eyes, no one was in front of me. I called my father, but he did not wake up. He seemed to be in a trance. Having no other option, I lay down again, but could not sleep. Then suddenly, my bed began shaking as if an earthquake had started around me, and the knocking at the wall resumed. One abnormal incident after another continued that night. The next morning, I did not tell my father about what had happened the previous night because he already worried a lot, and telling him would have only increased his anxiety. No further abnormal events happened that day, but the next morning, when I woke up, I saw my father's face was very serious, as if he was deep in thought. When I asked him what happened, he said that last night, due to work pressure, he was late arriving home from the office. While passing through the bamboo grove in front of our house, he saw a tall black shadow standing there. When the shadow saw him, it jumped and went onto the mango tree in front of our house. Seeing this, he quickly came home and found me sleeping. After eating, he went to bed. Around 2 or 3 o'clock at night, my sleep broke at the sound of nails being hammered on the wall, which stopped as soon as I woke. Without overthinking, I lay down again, but after a while, I felt my bed shaking strangely. Sitting up to observe carefully, I saw my bed trembling, and at first I thought there was an earthquake. But then I noticed that the other furniture in the room was not shaking, only my bed was. At the same time, someone was repeatedly hammering nails into the wall from behind the house. Seeing all this, I immediately tried to wake you up, but you would not wake at all. Such abnormal events kept happening repeatedly during the night. After hearing these things from my father, I told him everything that happened to me last night. Hearing this, my father became very scared. No abnormal incidents happened the next morning, but strange events began again at night. After midnight, intense pain started from my father's arm to his hand, which later shifted from his chest to his waist. No medicine helped relieve the pain. As soon as the far call to prayer began, the pain vanished instantly. That night, neither my father nor I could sleep. The next day around 3 in the afternoon, I received a phone call. When I answered, my aunt said she had visited the Huser. I was not prepared to hear what he said. He told her that some bad jinn had appeared in our house, but he did not know their exact number. These jinn had made the environment of our home very disturbed. He had also noticed some black magic affecting us. The biggest problem would be with my mother. He said he could not solve this problem from India because these jinn were very powerful, and we should seek refuge with a good Huser in Bangladesh as soon as possible. If this problem persisted, my mother would be in great danger. Hearing this, my aunt broke down in tears. I could not understand why the Huser said this, and why my mother's condition would become so serious. My father and I, had faced many abnormal events until now, but nothing had happened with my mother recently. When I asked my aunt about this, she said she had asked the same question to the Huser, but he could not provide detailed answers. The jinn had made the surrounding environment unsettled, and no further details could be given. He shared with me only what he could learn. Then I called my father to tell him all this. Shortly after, my father called me back saying he had found a good cabbage who would come to our house that evening. Around 8 in the evening, my father came home with a cabbage. As soon as the cabbage entered through the gate, his face turned pale. Standing in the yard, he said he needed to go to the backyard because there was a very serious problem there. Saying this, he went behind our house. After about 10 minutes, he returned and began inspecting the entire house. While examining, the cabbage suddenly stopped and stared intently at the mango and jackfruit trees next to the yard, where the swing I mentioned earlier was hanging. Then the cabbage said that our house had a major problem. 7 jinn lived there, disturbing the environment. It was unclear why they came or why they caused so many problems. Of the 7 jinn, 4 were very old local ones, and the other 3 were outsiders not related to the 4. He also said that these jinn resided in the mango and jackfruit trees. He assured us that he could solve these problems, but would need 1 black goat and 7 glass bottles to do so. The cabbage said he would come to our house after midnight and told us to prepare everything beforehand. After saying this, he left our house, but before leaving, he gave us some blessed water and instructed us to sprinkle it throughout the house to ensure we would have no trouble sleeping. Another strange event occurred as he left. Countless cockroaches emerged from various holes and filled the yard. That night, after sprinkling the blessed water, we had no problem sleeping. Dear listeners, are you thinking that the next day all these problems would be solved? If you think so, you're completely mistaken. The real twist was yet to come. Listen carefully to the entire story. The next morning, after far prayer, my father received a phone call. As soon as my father answered, the cabbage said that our problem was not as simple as he had initially thought. The jinn were very powerful and cunning. To solve our problem, he had to go to Sylhet to consult his mentor, which would take 7 or 8 days. But we did not have that much time because a great danger awaited us. He urged us to seek refuge with another good Huser or cabbage as soon as possible. He also said that the greatest problem would be for my mother because the jinn's main attention was on her. After saying this, the cabbage ended the conversation. Hearing all this, my father and I became very worried, but we did not tell my mother anything since she did not believe in these matters and would only become anxious if she knew. I could not understand why both the Indian Huser and the cabbage said my mother was in great danger, especially since no abnormal events had occurred with her until then. The same question kept arising in my mind, but I found no answer. I had no idea that I would soon discover the mysterious answer to this question. My father and I began desperately searching for a good accuser, but could find none. Then, a new problem began. One morning, while I was watching TV in my room, my mother came running in, speaking in a frightened voice, asking where my father was because he had been missing for 7 days while I sat calmly watching TV. She exclaimed that they were standing near the mango tree and had taken my father away, and now they wanted to take me as well. She begged us not to leave her alone like this. Saying this, she collapsed on the floor. I immediately tried to revive her, but could not. With her eyes closed, she kept repeating one thing. "Look, they're standing near the mango tree in the yard. They will take all of you." After about 6 or 7 minutes, she suddenly sat up and asked me what time it was. When I said it was 10 o'clock, she said it was late and asked why no one had woken her up. She then asked where my father was and whether he had gone to the office. Hearing these words from my mother shocked me deeply. "What are you saying? Has mother gone mad? That morning, you said you would prepare breakfast for father, and after eating, father left for the office. What are you talking about now? And now you won't get up from sleep. You woke up a long time ago and lost consciousness. And what is this about them standing near the mango tree in the yard and taking us away?" When I said these things, mother got angry at me, scolding that she didn't like such jokes early in the morning and that she already had a severe headache, so I should not make her any more upset. Saying this, she got up and went to cook. Seeing her behavior, I was quite surprised and sensed a serious problem was about to happen. That evening, mother made tea in the kitchen while I was sitting in her room reading a book when suddenly she screamed from the kitchen. I immediately ran there and saw her lying on the floor, struggling. I tried to help her up, but as I did, she gripped my hand tightly and with a nasty smile and a harsh voice, she said, Look, they have come there near the mango tree. They will take all of you. Whoever you bring, you will not be able to stop them." Then she lost consciousness. After about 10 minutes, mother regained consciousness but acted strangely. From morning till then, she had noticed nothing and could remember nothing. That night, when father returned home, I told him everything and asked if he had found a good accuser. Disappointed, father shook his head and said no. That night, another terrible incident happened. Hearing about mother's condition, father did not sleep in my room. He went to sleep in the next room with my younger brother and mother. I fell asleep in my room. I dreamed that my younger brother and I were going somewhere through the bamboo grove in front of our house during the late night, surrounded by thick darkness and faint moonlight. We entered the bamboo grove, which was dimly lit all around. Suddenly, 4 terrifying-looking dogs surrounded us. Their eyes shone in the darkness, and they looked starved, as if they hadn't eaten for a long time and had just found us as prey. Suddenly, one dog jumped on my younger brother, biting his left hand, pulling him into the group. One by one, those dogs tore my brother's body apart. Seeing this, I woke up, and it was 3 o'clock. So all that was a dream. Why is this happening to me? What suddenly went wrong? These questions arose in my mind, but I could find no answers. At that moment, I heard my younger brother screaming from the next room. I rushed over and found him sitting on the bed, crying loudly, with mother still sleeping beside him. Father and I started asking what had happened. My brother began describing the dream. I saw darkness all around, and we were going somewhere through the bamboo grove in front of our house. I kept asking where we were going, but he did not answer. Suddenly, those terrifying 4 dogs surrounded us. Seeing them, I got very scared and started screaming, but he pushed me into the pack of dogs, and they started tearing me apart. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my left hand and immediately woke up. In the dim light, I saw my mother staring at me with wide eyes, biting and holding my left hand. Seeing this, I screamed. When my father and I looked at my left hand, we were shocked to see a large bite mark. We tried to wake my mother and father, but they did not respond. Suddenly, with her eyes closed, mother said in a harsh voice, "I only showed you a dream. Leave now, or or this dream will become reality." After saying this, Mother became completely silent. When Mother woke up the next morning and I told her about what happened the previous night, she got angry and said, "You all have gone mad and are trying to make me mad too." That day, Father went to the office due to work pressure, and I thought I would not leave Mother alone like that and go to college, but Mother forced me to go to college. I went to college, and my younger brother went to school, leaving Mother alone at home. After college, when I returned home, Mother suddenly called me, and as soon as I answered, she urgently said, "Father, where are you? Come home as soon as possible." I am extremely scared. When I asked what had happened, Mother replied, "I can't explain over the phone. You come home, then I'll tell you." I reached home around 5. I found Mother sitting on the bed with a frightened expression. When I asked her what had happened, she began to say, "Father, I did not believe any of what you said until today, but after what happened to me today, I can no longer take anything normally." I'm terribly scared. For some days now, whenever I would sit on the swing, Minnie would come and bite me, pushing me away repeatedly. Then, when I was on the swing talking on the phone with someone, I would often hear a voice saying, "Leave this place." And lately, I have been having severe headaches. But I did not pay attention to these things. Today, after you left for college, an elderly man came to the house shortly afterward. He came to eat with me. I let him sit in the yard and went inside to get food. When I returned with the food, he was leaving, terrified, saying, "This place is inhabited by devils. Leave here, you all." Hearing this, I thought he must be crazy. Then, after lunch, while I was lying down watching TV, a severe headache began, and I started hearing many voices telling me to commit suicide. They said if I didn't want to kill myself, I should leave this place, and then again told me to kill myself. Suddenly, I realized the voices were coming from inside my nose. I could hear these words clearly. After that, I cannot remember anything. When I regained consciousness, I immediately called you. Hearing this from Mother, I became very worried. So the Huser and the cabbage were right. The biggest problem was with my mother. That night, another strange thing happened. Minnie was nowhere to be found. The last time I saw Minnie was in the yard at sunset, and after that, I couldn't find her anywhere. We searched for Minnie in many places in the bamboo grove near our house, but found nothing. No abnormal incidents occurred that night. The next day, around 6 in the morning, I woke up and went out of my room. Looking toward the yard, I saw a red liquid spilled on the swing. To examine closely, I went to the swing and saw that the red liquid was blood. To find out where the blood came from, I looked up in the tree and saw a scene I never want to witness again. Minnie was dead, lying on a small branch of the tree. Suddenly, the branch broke and Minnie fell down as if someone had pushed her. Her whole body was covered in large wounds, and her head was crushed. Her right eye was coming out of the socket. Seeing this, I lost control, screamed, and burst into tears. Hearing my screams, Father and my younger brother came out of their rooms, and, seeing the scene, they also broke down in tears. Minnie was everyone's favorite pet. Her eyes, once black like obsidian, had faded. Mother suddenly fainted, saying, "I only killed your pet cat. Now you will die." Mother never regained consciousness, and I didn't know what to do. Seeing her condition, no doctor could help. We needed to show her to a good Huser. Dear listeners, do you remember at the beginning I mentioned a Huser? Now, you might be wondering why I'm not contacting him. You will get the answer shortly. Seeing Mother's condition, with no other options left, we brought the imam of the nearby mosque to our home. Upon entering Mother's room, he apologized, saying, "Please forgive me, but I do not have the power to solve this problem. You should bring another Huser," and ran out of our house. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was the uncle from the tea shop calling to check on me. Remember, his tea shop was a bit far from our house, and I rarely left home because of all these incidents, so I hardly ever went to his shop. During the conversation, I told him everything that had happened to us so far. The uncle then told me, "I gave you the number of our Huser before. You should contact him and see if he can help." At that moment, I remembered that Huser. Amid all these events, I had completely forgotten about him. Truly, no matter what hardship or suffering God has written in a person's fate, that is exactly what they will endure. Anyway, after talking to the uncle, I did not delay for a second and called that Huser. I told him everything that had happened to us one by one. After listening to me, he told me to go to the mosque for Zuhr prayer. I went to the mosque at Zuhr time and again told the Huser all the details. After hearing everything, he said, "Look, Baba, I can solve your problem, but if Allah wills it otherwise, I cannot do anything. I will come to your house after Maghrib prayer to assess the situation. If the problem is at an early stage, with Allah's will, I can treat it with early intervention and solve it. But if it has worsened, then a major treatment will be needed." After saying this, he finished, and I took my leave to return home. Upon entering my room, I saw Mother sitting on the bed. As soon as she saw me, she said harshly, "I knew you would go to him, but still, he will do nothing. Nothing." Then she started laughing and instantly lost consciousness again. Around 4 in the afternoon, Mother regained consciousness but was unable to stand. She had severe headache and chest pain and could not recognize anyone around. Seeing this helpless situation, I could only wait for the Maghrib call to prayer, which seemed endless. Finally, after Maghrib prayer, the Huser came to our house as he promised. Upon arrival, he entered Mother's room, and as soon as Mother saw him, she jumped on the bed, sat up, and said, "You came, I knew you would come. It's been a long time since I last saw you, but this time you won't be able to do anything." With a mocking smile, she began cursing harshly in words I cannot repeat. Hearing this, the Huser told me to bring him a glass of water. When I brought it, he began reciting various verses from the Holy Quran over the glass and blowing into the water. Then he poured the water on Mother's face. Instantly, Mother startled and began to move restlessly. The Huser asked, "What are your names? Why have you come? What do you want here? And how many of you are there?" The demon inside Mother did not answer but said, "We have no names, and you still cannot recognize us. You are too old. You have forgotten much. You cannot leave now." After hearing this, the Huser poured water on Mother's face again, and this time she fainted onto the bed. After about 5 minutes, Mother regained consciousness and began to act somewhat normally. Then he made Mother drink some of the water, over which he recited Quranic verses and told us that the demons had left but would return. He instructed us to give her water regularly. I had thought the problem was in the early stages, but seeing this, I realized it had progressed a lot. The patient must undergo ruqya for 3 days. And yes, he said, both of you must come to the mosque after far prayer tomorrow, bringing a white plate and a coconut. Don't leave the house before far prayer. Only leave when far azan is called to come to the mosque. I will tell you why this problem is happening to you then. And with that, he left our house. That night, Mother showed no abnormal behavior, but strange sounds began coming from the yard along with hammering on the wall from the back of the house. These sounds stopped after far prayer. As instructed, Father and I took a coconut and a white plate and went to the mosque, where we performed the far prayer. After the prayer, the Huser sat with us in his room and began writing various Quranic verses on the plate using saffron ink, then pierced the coconut and blew Quranic verses onto its water. After completing these rituals, he told us that 7 jinn lived in our house. He had known 4 of them for a long time and had met them once or twice before. They used to be Muslim jinn, but due to their bad deeds were expelled long ago by their leader from their clan. These were outcast jinn. Just as a Muslim becomes a disbeliever due to his bad deeds, these jinn have become devils because of their evil actions. The Huser then began to tell how he had dealt with those jinn before on 2 occasions, which he promised to narrate in another story later. Returning to the Huser's words, he said that these 4 jinn were very cunning. They do not enter the human body, but possess people through their gaze. They repeatedly attack the human brain so that it comes under their control. They are repeatedly attacking your patient's brain, which is why her mind is under their influence, and she acts according to what they tell her. However, as long as no one irritates them, they will not harm humans. Their trouble is caused by some mistakes related to your patient. The swing in your yard is the root cause of all the problems. These 4 jinn have been in the bamboo grove behind your house for a long time. They rest on the mango and jackfruit trees in your yard at night and move through those trees. They have been there for a long time, but hadn't disturbed you until you hung a swing between these 2 trees. This irritated them because your wife used to sit on that swing after sunset, which annoyed the jinn. That is why they are troubling you so much. They also killed your pet cat. They could not harm you greatly before because you had a cat. Jinn cannot extend their influence in a house with cats. You have 7 jinn in total, but I have only told you about the 4. The other 3 jinn are outsiders, sent by an Indian female cabbage through black magic. However, they were not sent to perform black magic on you. You're probably wondering why those 3 jinn want to harm you. The reason is that you have made some mistakes here as well. The accuser asked my father if he had stepped into any inappropriate place recently, such as a magic circle, and told him to think carefully. Father admitted that some days ago, while walking through the bamboo grove in front of our house at night, his phone battery died, and with no flashlight, he carefully took steps in the darkness. Suddenly, he slipped and noticed in the faint moonlight a white powder circle had been drawn on the ground, and his foot was inside the circle on top of a dead bird. Scared, he hurried home. He went back the next day, but found nothing there. Hearing this, the accuser said that was a critical mistake. The circle was not an ordinary one, but a black magic circle, and since Father's foot was inside it, the black magic working through the jinn there was disrupted, making the 3 jinn angry at you. The accuser said, I made another mistake. I had angered a black cat. I was surprised since I had not told anyone about it. Roughly every night after dinner, around 10 p.m., I would go for a walk. On one such night, coming through the garden in front of our house, I saw a black cat sitting right in the middle of the road. I took it as normal, passing by the cat. A little later, when I returned home, I noticed the cat was gone, and I entered the house as usual. The next day, around 10 o'clock, I left the house again and saw the same cat sitting on the road, but this time the cat was blocking my path. I didn't know why, but I felt it was not an ordinary cat. So I took out my phone and filmed a 1-minute video of the cat. After that, the cat moved aside, and I went ahead. When I looked back, the cat was no longer there. I returned home normally and watched the video of the cat, but to my surprise, the video was only a few seconds long, not the minute I had recorded. I couldn't accept this. I clearly remembered recording a 1-minute video. The following day, at 10 o'clock again, I left the house to find the cat once more sitting there. I took a few steps toward the cat, but suddenly it turned and stared at me and growled strangely as it charged at me. Unlike previous days, the cat's eyes were not normal this time. Both eyes were completely red. Seeing this, I immediately ran back home. Strange events then began happening in our house after this. Hearing all this, the accuser asked me why I had filmed the cat and why I made that mistake. He explained that the cat was not an ordinary cat, but one of the 3 jinn. However, he assured me that our problem would soon be resolved. He also said he had written various Quranic verses in saffron ink on the plate and instructed us to slowly pour water over those verses until the writing dissolved in the water. We were to take that water and the coconut he blessed to the patient's house and make her drink the water on an empty stomach. This would prevent the jinn from possessing her again and help her gradually return to normal. He also warned that the patient must not go to the yard because the jinn would not be able to enter the house, but they would try to lure her outside in various ways using illusions. If the patient went into the yard, she could not be cured. After this, the accuser finished and left. Father and I returned home and gave Mother the water as instructed. No further problems occurred during the day, but after ASR prayer, a strange issue began. Mother and I were sitting on the bed when she suddenly said, "When did your uncle arrive?" "He came, but you didn't tell me." I told Mother that she was mistaken. Uncle hadn't come, and he lived in India, not Bangladesh. She said, "Don't lie. Look, your uncle is standing by the tree in the yard calling me, but not coming inside." She then got up and started going outside. Seeing this, I knew what had happened. The devils couldn't enter the house and had created an illusion to call Mother outside. Without delay, I video called Uncle to show Mother the live view and explain what was going on. True to his word, Uncle came after Maghrib prayer, carrying something in a plastic bag. When he arrived, he first spoke with Mother, then asked me to bring a paper, a steel bowl, and a plastic box. I brought these items as instructed. Uncle took half a kilogram of camphor, a small knife, a dropper bottle, and a small paper bundle from the plastic bag. He placed the camphor in the plastic box, then drew a pattern on the paper. He asked Mother to sit on a chair and began writing something on her forehead with the small knife, while reciting various surahs from the Quran. It seemed the Huser was writing something in Arabic. First, he wrote something on Mother's forehead, then something from the elbow down to both palms. Then, in the middle of the paper with the design, he placed a circle and took some black powder from the paper bundle inside it. Using the dropper bottle, he applied some liquid to the powder. He then rolled the paper and pressed it against Mother's forehead, which immediately caught fire. He placed the burning paper in a steel bowl, and smoke began to rise slowly. When he brought the bowl close to Mother's nose, smoke entered her nostrils, making her wriggle and curse in abusive language. He signaled to Father and me to hold Mother's hands and feet tightly, but she was uncontrollable. He then moved the smoke away and held the camphor box in front of her nose. The situation worsened as Mother began to retch and repeatedly say, "Did you think I would let you go? You can't do anything. Whatever pain I endure will be in this body. You can't spoil our place in this body or drive us out." Hearing this, he recited Quranic verses over a glass of water and sprinkled it on Mother's face, causing the devils inside her to scream. After a while, Mother collapsed weakly, and he made her drink the water. I noticed Arabic writing appearing on Mother's forehead, from which light bleeding occurred, though she was not injured anywhere. The Huser explained this was poisoned blood in the brain caused by the jinn. Then he left, telling us to come to the mosque after far prayer the next day with a white plate and a coconut. No abnormal events occurred afterward. The second day, the Huser returned, performed ruqya on Mother, and told us to bring 3 items: puffed rice, fried sand, white mustard, and water from 7 mosques. That night, an unusual fragrance filled the house and dissipated on its own. The next day, we brought the items as instructed, and the Huser came to our home, performing ruqya on Mother for 3 consecutive days. The 4 jinn possessing Mother appeared and pleaded, "Leave us, we will leave and never return." Then Mother fainted and regained consciousness about 10 minutes later, behaving normally thereafter. I told the Huser about the strange fragrance that filled our house the previous night. He said the leader of the 4 jinn had come to see the house's condition, and that thanks to him, the problem was now resolved. The other 3 jinn had been captured and drowned in the river. The Huser confirmed our problem was solved. I gave him the puffed rice, fried sand, white mustard, and water from 7 mosques. He mixed the rice, sand, and mustard in a container, recited surahs over it, and blew on it. Then he mixed the 7 mosque water with some water from a glass into a bottle. He instructed us to sprinkle sand and mustard in every corner of our house and yard daily at 10 o'clock for 7 days, followed by sprinkling the blessed water. After this, we were not allowed to leave the house until we came to the mosque after far prayer. Leaving earlier could cause great harm. Saying this, he left our home. We followed his instructions for 7 days, and after that, no more strange events occurred. Since that day, my mother fully recovered.